But now I'm joined by Andy Chin. Andy, you work as a pastor in the Wesley International Congregation, don't you? Just tell us when you began working at Wesley Mission.
Oh, I began working at Wesley Mission in 2001 as a youth intern, yes.
So 16 years of working here, but the roles have changed. You came in at first, was that after college, Bible training? What was that after you became a youth?
Yeah, well actually I started as a youth intern while I was at Bible college.
Yes.
Yeah, it was only after that I stepped into the youth pastor role and then things moved on from there.
Yeah. So what roles have you held? You've held, at the moment you're acting as senior, but you've also been a pastor too, haven't you?
Yep, that's right. So started off as youth intern, then youth pastor. Then it shifted into focusing on missions evangelism as the pastor of that, and then heading up the Riot Extension Service, and now in the acting senior role.
How important is it to you when you're doing these new roles to build on the experience you've gained in the others?
It's absolutely critical. Every step in life is a part of a learning process. There are things that I know now that I wish I knew when I first started in ministry, but that's just the way that the kingdom works.
If only we could live life like that, but the
right.
truth is that we can't. Tell me what you most get out of the work that you do, because I will talk about some of the pressures that come with leadership in ministry, but what are some of the things you get out of it?
I think the most wonderful thing that I get from serving in ministry is actually seeing people's lives transformed. Whether it be someone who's sick, who needs healing, and then that healing comes, or whether it's someone who has no hope and no direction in life, opening their heart to Jesus and discovering eternal life in Him. In each of those situations, seeing people being transformed and their lives being touched by God, that by far is the greatest joy that comes out of it. And I think very close to that is when people begin to discover this sense of call and purpose for their life in the way that God has made them. That's a real joy.
Now, before I talk about some of those challenges, we're very much in the centre of this city, and what goes on in this building, not just in WIC, but across all our, is very multicultural, isn't it? It's from people from all. How important is that to you?
Well, incredibly important. I think of the scriptures, particularly when it speaks of when Jesus returns, and that beautiful image of every nation, every language, every tongue, and I see in that a reflection of what God desires of the church now. And so when I think about Wesley Mission, I think the last count was over 40 nationalities across the different services. That's astounding. And so hearing different languages when you walk through the center, smelling different food from different cultures, really reflects God's heart for the whole world, for all people.
Look, one of my predecessors made a decision really that this place would not just be an Aussie white church, but it would be a church for everybody. Aussie whites, yes, but people from all kinds of different cultures. We're also not just different in terms of the cultures, but we have different kinds of people too, don't we, that are attracted to us. How true would that be?
Oh, it's fascinating. It's almost like having a number of different churches almost, like with all the different demographics all in one space. Even though we're one church, it's amazing the different demographic, not just culturally, but even socioeconomically, even in terms of age groups as well. There's young, there's old, everyone in between. And I think, again, what's beautiful about that is it reflects Jesus' love for everyone, no matter who they are, what their background is, whether they're doing well, whether they're struggling, whatever end of the spectrum they are at socioeconomically. That's God's heart. And
they'll be welcome in the Wesley Church.
Yes, very much so.
Tell me then the challenges. You know, I said, what did you get out of these things? What are the challenges of being a pastor in that kind of setting?
I don't know where to start with that because there's so many different challenges. But I suppose one of the challenges that comes is being appreciative of the fact that there are many different cultures that are meeting together, that are trying to work together, and with that comes different nuances. But I guess it's what unites us that enables us to overcome those challenges. At the end of the day, we see ourselves as a family that God has brought together. And so, as with any family, you've got brothers and sisters and mums and dads and uncles and aunties that each are a bit different, but together we seek to make things work.
And as a pastor, you have to try to relate the gospel message, or what it is we're communicating, into a very varied cultural setting, don't you?
Yes.
And is that easy?
No, it's not.
I'm asking it because I find it hard. It is, isn't it? And I think our conversation would find us agreeing on that truth. But we do have to try to do it. And in a way, could we be described as an Australia in microcosm? You know, what we are here is what Australia is and is becoming, and we have to do that.
Yes, yes, very much so. Every night I think about it, and it's like walking down the street in Pitt Street. There's just so many different cultures, so many different colours and varieties and shapes and sizes. And we're called to be a reflection of that. And we're called to reach out to a community that has that kind of varied demographic. That's God's heart.
And do you feel you are still on a journey as a pastor and leader?
Very much so, yeah. There's always so much to learn. And again, I wish there were things that I learned back then and things that I continue to learn now. It's a journey.
And that's often about people, isn't it, really? And Andy, I just want to say thank you to you and your colleagues and the important work that you do here in this Wesley Centre week by week, but much more in homes, cell groups, home groups, in so many ways. God bless you in your ministry.
God bless you too, Keith.